So you may have noticed that superhero movies aren't what they used to be, with one very big exception. Spider-Man continues to fly high, swing away every time he has a new movie. Hey everybody, I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy, and today let's talk about that new film, Spider-Man: Brand New Day.
Hi, my name is Peter Parker. You don't remember me, but we used to know each other. Something bad was going to happen, and the only way to stop it was to make everyone forget about me. Because I'm not just Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man.
The hell, Frank? You just hit me with a van!
Quit your whimpering. Suit yourself. Mother.
In Spider-Man: Brand New Day, Tom Holland returns as our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but this time he's struggling as the film begins. If you recall the events from the last movie, he had asked Doctor Strange to help cast a spell which would make the world forget his civilian identity. So he does this to protect his loved ones, but it also means that his best friend, Ned, played by Jacob Batalon, and his girlfriend, MJ, played by Zendaya, they no longer remember who he is, which means that Spidey begins this film, he's more than a little bit depressed. So he throws himself into his work, cleaning up the mean streets of New York City, often with the help of a vigilante known as the Punisher, played by Jon Bernthal. He also goes to seek the advice of Dr. Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, played by Mark Ruffalo, when his spider powers start to evolve. Now you may notice that this plot description doesn't go into any great detail. I certainly didn't talk about who the main villain of this movie is. That's because, more so than most movies, people are really cognizant of spoilers, and we're not going to spoil anything here. Although, if you look at the trailers and the marketing, you can probably guess what's really going on. Suffice it to say that this is a big movie, 2.5 hours long almost. And it's got lots of plots and subplots and secondary characters who pop up. A lot of this is very fun, and some of it is just filler. Let's be honest, Spider-Man appeals to the kids, and if you're taking your preteen kid to this film, 2.5 hours may strain their preteen bladders. Now, I do think that Holland turns in a very good performance here, which is interesting because he was kind of slammed for his performance in The Odyssey. But here, I think it's very good. He's perfect for Spider-Man here. He has that youthful energy. That being said, this is a more mature story. So Holland gets to play with mature themes, issues of love and trying to find your place and loss. These are not things that he's always dealt with when he had his friends there to back him up. So I think it's a very good performance. I think Zendaya and Jacob Batalon are great as his supporting characters. I think actually all of the characters in this film are pretty good. But I will point out that the Punisher, played by Jon Bernthal, this is an odd team up. I know they were teamed up in several of the previous, like the comic books and whatnot, but they work really well on screen together. They have such different styles of fighting crime. And I just think it's a great team up here. It's easily my favorite part of this movie. Now, obviously, every superhero movie is going to be judged by its action spectacle, its special effects, and I think that works pretty well in this movie here. There are 3 main sequences. There's a tank run amok through the streets of New York sequence, which I thought was a lot of fun. There is a fight against the Hulk. You've seen some of it in the trailer, but there's some interesting twists to it that are, hidden, and I thought that was wonderful. That's my favorite action scene. And then there's a fight against the Hand, which is a group of ninjas that is visually striking, but I didn't think that one was quite as important. I will say this. Normally, when you have a movie in regular and in 3D, I don't really say you need to go see the 3D. I think it's still kind of a gimmick. But in this one, there's enough stuff blowing up at you. I think the 3D works very well. It's certainly worth the extra money this time around. I've seen it twice now. Once in 3D, once without, and it wasn't quite the same experience outside of 3D. And that 3D also works for the film's look. So this thing is shot, and it's got a very fluid camera. So we get those sequences of Spider-Man jumping off of a building, and he's going to go swinging, but you see him kind of flailing as he falls to the ground, and the camera follows him down. And my stomach dropped several times. It was really well done. I also love the visual colors in this movie. Those reds in particular really pop, but that red and blue suit really looks good, really reminds me of a comic book. Visually, I think this is stunning. There's scenes of Spider-Man standing on a rooftop and you see this painterly sunset behind him. quite visual stuff, quite beautiful. So I think visually it really goes well. So the bottom line for me is, look, I'm a fan of Spider-Man. I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fanboy here, but I think it works very well. The characters are very accessible. I appreciated that we get to see some more humanity from Spider-Man here. I appreciated the relationship that he has with MJ and Ned, and especially with the Punisher. I like the cameo appearances, those spoilers that I'm not going to talk about, but a couple of them were fun, but there's one in particular, the first one, that I just smiled at. I thought, oh, this is a great addition. I'd heard nothing about that. So don't go searching for those spoilers. Go into this movie cold. I think you'll have a lot of fun. I do still think it's a little long. I'm not going to say it's the greatest Spider-Man movie ever made, but I do think these movies are all very entertaining. So I give Spider-Man Brand New Day 3 stars out of 4. I'm curious as to how parents with younger kids, elementary school kids, how those kids look at this movie, because I think a lot of the themes here are not, trying to have a good time and survive high school anymore. It's the mean streets, it's the real world that Spider-Man's dealing with. Like I said, it's 2.5 hours. That's a little long. I think some of the subplots, which we're obviously not going to spoil here, but some of those are far more adult, a little more darker than most of them. So I'm curious to see how elementary school kids look at this movie. I think it works almost better for the grown-ups this time around. That's not always the case with Spider-Man. But hey, that's me. What did you think? Feel free to comment below. Want to thank you for subscribing to the channel so you get my reviews just as soon as they drop. We try and review all of the films. We try and review all of the week's big new major releases right here. So thanks for subscribing. Don't forget you can comment on any of these. And don't forget to check out our podcast. It's called Two Movie Guys. And every week my friend Joe Fryer and I get together and we chat about all the movies. Just search for Two Movie Guys wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, Spider-Man is really the only big movie out this week. There is one other one that I'll get to a little later on. But I did skip last week because, it didn't seem like there was anything of note coming into theaters. And then it turned out there were actually 2 films. So we're going to go back. So coming up next, we're going to talk about Alan Ritchson's new movie, Motor City.